Bring down the hammer! Fully charged for Piltover! Face the future. Strength through progress. This one's for the folks back home.
What is up, guys? Welcome back. Are you guys looking for a lane dominant champion that works both as a mid and top laner? Then Jayce might be the right champion for you. If you play this champion right, then he can be a massive lane bully. He has super high solo kill potential and of course also insane with the outplays. You want to be starting in the range form because that is what really allows you to trade into pretty much any champion in the game, especially if you play him top because most of the opponents will be melee. So Live 1, you don't want to go this aggro like I did right here. I lost the trade because that Q hit the minion instead, so I got body block, but you want to chill a bit until you get around level 3 and 4. That's where you can start going ham. So until that, try to get prio by last sitting, but also pushing the wave slowly. That will make it so the lane pushes slightly towards the opponent, but you'll also be getting level 2 first. And then you start slowly taking over. We're walking up and placing a ward over here. Always place the ward like this, guys. Don't place it in the brush because that is not going to show you both sides of the map. Now that we have level 3, right? So now we can start trading for real. Remember, compared to other champions, you have so many abilities because you don't have an ultimate. And that is what will allow us to get the kill right here, because we're basically playing with a ton of free abilities compared to most other champions in the game actually. And when you go into the melee form, guys, and auto attacking, remember you're getting mana back because of the W passive. But the way you want to engage is you Q either to the opponent in melee form or a minion that's close to him, because when you do that, your Q deals AoE damage, so that's how you can use that to get close with. AoE damage on top of slowing as well. And the range form is something that you use to poke the opponent for short trades. And also, when you're using that Q through the acceleration gate with your E, it will increase the damage. But never do that when you only have 1 point into your Q. It's a massive bait because it barely deals any damage. You want to wait until you have at least 2 points into your Q, so from level 4 and onwards, that's why you can start using this combo. I bought the tier here. You can go for the serrated Dirk if you want to. Of course, that does give you a stronger early game, but I don't think that's going to stop me from getting more soul kills onto this guy. So that's why I went for the tier, because it will allow me to scale up faster. Your Q can get body block, guys, but remember, if you use it through the acceleration gate, your E, then it becomes faster and also deals way more damage. This is a basic trading combo right here. So you start with the range form, right? Then you Q the opponent, and if you can get a couple W auto attacks off, you do that. Then you immediately go into the melee form, so the hammer form. Q the opponent once again, W, and then if you want to, disengage, you just E them because it's going to knock them back. You do that and then you can just disengage, and then you just wait for your cooldowns to come back up. That's how you want to do it in pretty much every single matchup. But if you play against a champion who can re-engage onto you, then it can be a good idea to save that E during the hammer form, the knockback. Playing against a Jax who wants to Q towards you and then E. So right the moment he's jumping towards you, that's when you can knock him back. So you can see you can really start taking over the lane as long as you don't troll level 1. When you start getting level 3 and onwards, that's why you start getting that advantage due to all of these abilities that most champions simply cannot match. That will result in another free kill. Of course, mid lane, always play him with Ignite. Top lane, you have the option to go with TP, but honestly, Ignite is what will allow you to get a lot of solo kills. We had good CS, and we also picked up another kill here. Building into the Eclipse, that is the mythic item to go for at the moment. You don't really have all the options when Eclipse is the best. And your W during the cannon form, guys, you get these 3 quick auto attacks, right? You can actually press W in your cannon form and then immediately switch to the melee form or the hammer form, and then you will keep those 3 quick auto attacks. But when the opponent is not close and you're just farming, then always do it with the melee form, because it's going to give you mana back because of the W passive every time you auto attack. You see the way I engage right here? I Q to the minion that was close to the Vladimir, because then he also get impacted. And that will allow you to get close. And at this point and onwards, when you start hitting people with the QE, that's where it really starts hitting for massive amounts of damage. So there's 2 ways you can use that gate and the Q. The first is the safe one, where you use the Q and then you place the gate a good distance in front of you. That one is a lot safer to do, it's a lot easier to aim at the opponent. And that's a very fast way of using that well as well. So to use the fast QE combo, you basically place the gate right in front of you, as close as possible. That makes it that this combo almost becomes impossible to dodge, but it's also really hard to like aim properly. But that's a good combo you can do if you want to catch the opponent off guard, because the QE combo coming out so fast that it's almost impossible to dodge. But at the same time, it's also very, very difficult to aim properly. And we are securing another kill for ourselves. But the fast QE combo I talked about, that is something I like to do when the opponent has vision of me and they're like sort of standing ready trying to dodge the incoming Q. Then I try to do the fast combo, because it makes it a lot harder to react to. But you know, if you're just trying to snipe somebody trying to run away, and maybe they don't even have vision of you, then do it the safe way. But use the Q, and then you place the gate, you know, a good distance in front of you, so it's a lot easier to like aim. But it is a pretty difficult champion to pick up and play as well, because he has so many different combos, so many abilities, and then also he does not have an ultimate. But just because you have to manage so many different abilities, that's why he can be really difficult. But he is certainly also rewarding. And on my high elo account, I actually see this champion being played a lot right now, because he's in a pretty good spot. And of course also a champion that your jungler likes having on the team, because he gets prio most of the time. He has a really OP laning phase, so of course that means that you will be able to get prio almost every single time, and then your jungler can invade and you can follow up. You see, if you just manage to land a couple of these QE combos, you can really push the opponent out of the lane. Now in this case it's a Vladimir, so he's gonna sustain back up. But most other champs, they would have been pushed out of the lane by now. Always remember to also auto attack in the hammer form, so get some mana back. So it's also a champion that has built in, you know, mana regen. So if played right, he actually has a bit of everything, you know, insane damage, great mobility, great poke as well, long range poke that also happens to be AoE. You know, if you manage to hit the mid laner and the AD carry at the same time, that's easily half HP lost later on in the game. Even more if you're fit. And also in the early game, you know, when you are attacking the tower and there's nobody to contest, then do it in the hammer form, because like ranged auto attacks will deal less damage to the tower. But when you're in the cannon form, you count as a melee champion, so that's a way to get some free damage off onto the objectives. So we got a massive purchase right here with the mythic item and then also the tier 2 boots. Most of the time you'll be opting for the lucidity boots because of the cooldown reduction on your summoner spells and abilities. On top of these boots also being cheaper, they're actually really OP, so I don't understand why people don't use it on a lot of champs. Of course on Jayce, it's almost a core item, unless you're playing in a very bad matchup where you're forced to itemize defensively with the boots. But do keep in mind that your Q can get body blocked by the minions. So don't just waste that QE combo for no reason. Got your flash out to Vladimir. That's fine, we'll just take the long way around. It is pretty hard to snipe with a QE when the opponent expects it to come in. That's why sometimes I recommend using the quick version of it. His ultimate is down for no reason. Looks like he's headed topside. But you see that gate? When you're getting back to the lane from your base, guys, on top of switching forms constantly to get that bonus wound speed, also use the gate. It really allows you to get back to the lane a lot faster. And it could be the difference between you getting the cannon minion or losing it to the tower. Or your minions. But it is a lane dominant champ. At the same time, he can also do well in team fights. Especially if you happen to have a really good team composition, like he works well with poke compositions. You know, you have something like a Saras, a Jhin bot side, or just poke the opponent down before the fight even begins. He can work well there, but even if you don't have the perfect comp, he can still be good because you just poke people from afar with the QE combo, over and over. Alright, jungler died, but we also got that jungler, so it's all great. We just chase the Jhin here, better to get the AD carry out. An easy shock blast, and the AD carry is gone as well. So now they cannot take the Drake. But you know, if you master this champion, it is definitely a champion that will allow you to climb really fast. Just because of how oppressive he can be in the lane. Remember, this is a melee and ranged champion in one. And most champions in the top lane struggle a lot against ranged champions. And because he also has disengage in the hammer form, it's also really hard to like gap close to him because he's always able to disengage. Great at kiting as well. So it's a champion that has a bit of everything. Oh, he actually flashed away, okay, so then we will also follow with the flash. You know, the big spike really kicks in when the mana immune is purchased and it transforms into the mirror mana, which it will do the moment we buy it because it's fully stacked. By doing this, your early game becomes a little bit weaker, but in exchange you scale way better, so you always do this. It also solves all of your mana problems, so that's another benefit. But the slow on the hammer Q is something you should always look to abuse in the laning phase, especially when you keep in mind that it is AoE. So, you know, sometimes when people think you can't Q on top of them directly, they will stand next to the minions. So as long as you can hit the minions with a Q, they will also get hit by the AoE effects. And if you pay attention to my laning phase, that is what I did a lot on the Vladimir. And that's also what allowed me to engage for free and get a lot of these kills. We are running pretty low on mana. We're also sitting on almost 3k gold. So we'll just go ahead and back off here so we don't risk giving away 1k gold for no reason. That is going to be the mana immune transformed, and now we will build into the armor pen. Even if they're not building a lot of armor right now, it doesn't matter, because Cerilla's Grudge also has that passive slow effect, so you know when you hit somebody with that QE shock blast, on top of being AoE damage, they also get slowed. And that actually does a lot, you know, when it comes to team fights. Utility is so OP in team fights, especially. At this point, it's pretty much super difficult to run out of mana, because you have mana regen with your W, hammer passive, and then you also have the tear. So it has so much mana. You saw that massive damage on the Jhin right there. That is what I talked about. That is because we got the spike, the transformed item. A bit unlucky that Rakan survived. I'm actually not sure exactly how he survived. I thought that the Q would finish him off for the triple. But it's alright, now we can just clear away the enemy jungle. You know, he has lots of AoE damage, so clearing out jungle camps is also really easy. But doing that is how you set the enemy jungle behind, and also how you get these high CS per minute numbers. He's gonna go for the Grump. You see the damage right there? That is absolutely ridiculous. Of course, I'm also 10 kills right now, but even if I wasn't, just imagine I had like what, maybe 2 kills, but I've been farming up well, got the Eclipse and the mana immune transformed. This is the damage it will deal. It's just how it works, because your Q damage gets increased by 40% when it passes through the gate. And then you also get the effects of the Mirror Mana. So that's a lot of bonus damage into one blast. And I'm still focused on split pushing a lot, because that is really how you'll be able to get a lot of these kills onto the opponents. And you see the outplay potential on this champion. You know, he's still squishy. Even though I was sitting on 10 kills, he's still a paper champ, because you don't build any tank items. You go full aggro. So if you mess up, you can still die fast in fights. But if you know the mechanics of this champion, you can easily go for these outplays. Easily. But it will take a lot of time. You have to invest a lot of time into this character in order to be successful. But the good thing you have here is that he's a solid flex pick, in that he works as a mid and top. So even if you first pick him, the opponents don't always know in which lane you are going, so it can be difficult looking for a counter pick. But in general, you want to avoid picking him into tanks. Everything else is okay, but just not tanks, because they can be pretty annoying. At some point they just become too tanky. And you won't be able to kill them, meaning that you won't be able to snowball. Especially if it's something like a Malphite. That is super annoying to deal with when he has so much armor that you can't do anything about it. But even then, you can just look to farm up well and then group up while you focus on poking with the Q. Because if you manage to hit the AD carry just even once, that blast, they'll be out of the fight. Unless of course they have some insane amount of sustain. That's what you want to do in teamfights, is that before engaging, you want to make sure that your team is not engaging, because you want to play the poke game first. When an objective is coming up, try to zone the opponents away when they're coming close, trying to contest. You poke them a lot first with your Q blast. When they're low HP, that is when you go for the kill. So you play the poking game first, and then afterwards, low HP opponents, that's when you pick up that free gold. Rengar is pretty tilted, but I can understand. He got pretty hard ran over this time. We also have pretty insane skilling with our bot and top. Now Jayce is not really a skilling champion in that sense, even though he can be pretty strong late game. Of course, he's nothing compared to a level 16 kill or a late game Senna, but he can still be strong late game. He spikes in the mid game though, the moment you finish the mana immune where it's fully stacked and you get your mythic item, you have the mirror mana, and then you have the Cyrildas. That's why he's insanely strong. But when you go for this mana immune item, then he's also really strong in the late game. So that's why you always want to go for it, on top of also solving all of your mana issues. They are destroying pretty much the entire base here, so we're just gonna walk into the jungle, pick up the blue buff and the camps, and then we can start grouping up. Because nothing is really happening right now if you look at the map, so that's why I'm not walking, straight down the middle to the Sivir. Because my teammates recalled and they were just farming the jungle and then backing off, so we can use this time to get some CS and then we can start grouping afterwards. So the Sivir overextended, obviously, like I did when I died. Now we just have to group up and then we can go for the end. Mid and top side is done, so we can just go bot. That's what you do normally if you're not able to end in any other way. You see, that is the easy blast combo I talked about. Just do it the safe way, when you just have to snipe the opponent and they don't have vision of you. Of course, they're committing really hard for me. They really want that shot down once again. Luckily, I did have the flash up. It's pretty hard to escape from a Rakan otherwise. But that is pretty much over. So that is how you can play Jayce, guys. Really hope this was helpful. As always, thanks for watching and see you all next one.